Hello and welcome to another episode of Tuesday at 2. It's Better Together. Today we are excited because we have an opportunity to speak with the Mountain Resort Mystery Series author, Shannon Work. And a little background on Shannon. She was a former real estate developer and national Best in America Living Award recipient. And she switched careers to follow her dream of becoming a published author, which is amazing. And she launched her first book September of 2020 and her second book in April of 2021. So we're going to start today's conversation learning how Shannon leveraged and capitalized the social media giant algorithm to figure out how to reach her right audience to launch her book that started off in a series. And now she's off on a new career doing so great. So Shannon, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's wonderful. I always love stories when somebody was able to pivot, and it's so fun that September 2020 timeframe. You can just imagine how the launch of the book, kind of the idea of getting right and getting started. So we'll definitely get a chance to talk about that. But to begin with, can you just share, did you know a lot about social media, Facebook ads, marketing and things like that? And is that one of the reasons why you started there, or did you have to kind of figure it out as you were launching your book?
I knew nothing about advertising and marketing on Facebook. Facebook, I think I've been on it since 2012, and just like every mom that's on it right now, is really started out to follow my kids and to keep up with what my kids were doing. And then I had a lot of fun connecting with high school friends and stuff. So I was just on it for social reasons. And then when I decided to write the book, I very quickly decided to self-publish. Independent author, because I'm too old and too impatient to go through the traditional publishing process, which could take several years. I thought, no, I can do this, because I read several success articles about authors that have done it themselves. And one of the big things is Facebook marketing. And they have a great platform to be able to really narrowly define a target market and try to get your product, which my books are a product, in front of those people who are most likely to like it. But it was a huge learning curve. I did not know anything at all to start off with. And it can be a little bit daunting, but I got a couple books that are author specific, which I'm sure there are books for just about every industry on how to advertise now, because it's such a big business, how to advertise on Facebook. And really started from ground zero and just started learning and started testing, different little ads and see what works and what doesn't work. And it was a lot of fun, but it was a huge learning curve. I started from knowing nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because one thing that we love on this platform is you try to really interview real people who share their approach to get started. So we definitely, are connected with authors or people starting a business. So I'm going to ask the big question I feel like is on a lot of people's mind. Did you have to start with a very large budget? Was it one of those things I'm going to invest X and see if it works, or were you able to make tweaks along the way?
Absolutely. That's what's nice about the platform too, is you can budget whatever you want. You can do as little as $1 a day on ads. You won't get many clicks and you're not going to get many sales. They suggested that the books that I read suggested the base minimum of $5 a day to actually kind of get Facebook's attention and actually show your ad and start getting clicks and hopefully sales that way. But then you scale up, find out which ads are working and which targets, because I had different ads with different targets, and see which ones were really working. And then those are the ads that you scale up from maybe $5 a day to $10 a day to $15 a day, and just go up from there. So you set the limit on that. And that is nice.
Mm-hmm. So you started off with multiple ads. Is that correct?
Right.
And how did you determine what your audience would be, or what the content of the ad would be, and who they would be targeting?
The way Facebook lets you target as an author, what I did was I know the type of authors that I write similar to. For instance, Mary Higgins Clark is probably the closest author that I write similar to. I was able to go in and target anybody on Facebook who has either liked something of Mary Higgins Clark, is a member of Mary Higgins Clark fan group page, or maybe posted something about a book. Somehow Facebook finds it and they are able to go in there and find those people. And so my ad pops up in their news feed. And that's kind of how I got started, and then slowly kind of branched out from there to some other similar authors just because I wanted to start out careful and didn't want to throw too much money at it, not knowing what I was doing. So started out really, really focused, and then tested and went out from there and just see what target audiences work.
Does the amount that you spend correlate to sales? I mean, have you actually seen the correlation?
Yes, for sure. Because I have shut off ads in the past. And I thought, well, maybe this one isn't working so much because there weren't as many people either liking the ad or commenting on the ad. And then you can definitely see a drop in sales. So you run back and get in the system and kick the ad back on. So you can definitely tell. And I do run ads on Amazon too as an author, because that's a place where a lot of authors run. And I have not been able to figure that platform out as much on the Amazon ads. Just because it's a little bit trickier, I think, in targeting. Facebook has been fabulous. And I think it's because you need to look at also your target market, their demographics. Where are they? Are they on Facebook? And mine definitely is. And so it's a good way to reach them.
And do you use the Facebook for Business suite, or just your regular?
No, I do. I do have a Facebook business account, and I do use the business suite, the app on my phone too. I'm on it all the time, checking stuff.
And when it relates to, building awareness around your book, and then also sales, what else have you done? What other approaches have you done? Like any book tours or book clubs or anything?
No, I kind of wanted to I have 2 books out now. My 3rd book is coming out in about 2 weeks. And I really kind of wanted to wait till I had a little bit more critical mass to really start branching out and doing some different marketing. Facebook was the low-hanging fruit for me. This is how I can immediately reach the people who I think will like my book. And some of the other stuff, like I have had a couple suggestions about doing press releases and getting it to different like local magazines, interested in a local author, or maybe say a magazine, and my books are set in Aspen, Vale, and Telluride. So maybe something there. And I really haven't gone that route yet because I wanted to get more product out there first. So after I get this 3rd one out, I am probably going to sit down and kind of rethink my marketing plan. And I might start branching out a little bit right now, but it's mainly been, up to this point, has been pretty much Facebook ads and Amazon ads.
It's funny. I have heard that it's sometimes your first book becomes more profitable or sells a lot more after you publish your 3rd or 4th book. Like it kind of,
that's totally it. I think a lot of people kind of hang back. They're like, oh, this sounds interesting, but she's only got 1 book out. So why do I want to, take my chance and spend 8 hours, reading something, and she may not come out with anything else again. So that's kind of definitely, I have been guilty of that. So I think there are people, I did see an uptick in sales and Kindle Unlimited page reads in my 1st book when my 2nd book came out. So I'm hoping that the 3rd book will do the same thing. I think you just kind of have to prove yourself a little bit, that you have a little bit of staying power.
That's wonderful. All right. So getting a little bit back to your origin story. So you, were always a writer. I heard you said before the show started, you were always a writer, always passionate about writing, never really finished a book. You got into real estate development, and then something happened when you said, maybe the time is now for me to start writing. Can you just share a little bit about that inspiration to just go for it and what that was like?
Sure. I have always loved writing. I read poetry as a kid. I read tons of books as a kid and imagined writing the stories as a kid. And at high school, I graduated with a degree in journalism and realized, okay, I'm not going to get a job anywhere. So then I stayed and got a master's degree in real estate and construction. It's a family business. And my dad is a developer. And so I went into real estate, worked for a developer here in Houston for a while, and I kind of went out on my own and did a couple projects here. And I liked it. That was a kind of a fun place for creative outlet also, because I would, conceptualize the projects and see them to fruition and see them built. But it just wasn't quite the same thing. I always had the love of writing and never gave up on that. And one day decided, well, I'm just going to try writing a book. And it was about 20 years ago. It was historical fiction. I'm such a history buff. I got so wrapped up in my research, I never could get the book finished. I got about 150 pages in and abandoned the project. And then about 10 years after that, I decided to try again. another failed start. But at the time I was, developing real estate and raising 3 children. So life was a little bit different. And then a couple of years ago, I was I'm like, well, I'm going to be an empty nester in about a year. So what am I going to do? So then I got serious and I thought, okay, it's going to now or never. And that's when I sat down and really cranked it out, and I got the first book done. And then after that, I was just hooked. So it was a lot of fun.
As a writer, I'm going to ask, you started off as a history buff, wanting to write a history book, then you switched to writing mystery. Totally different genres. You still have to do research, but much less,
right.
It's much less reliant on that history piece of it.
Right.
How did you define your genre at that point?
Well, when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to write, I didn't have the discipline to write a historical fiction like I really would have loved to. And every once in a while, I still think, oh, I'd love to go back. I'd love to read Westerns. And I would love to write maybe that, and they're short. Maybe I could just write a Western. But then I think, no, I will get caught up in the research again, and I just won't get anything done. Well, when I decided that I wanted to write a book, I had to get it now or never. I thought, okay, well, I can't do historical fiction. What else do I like to read? And it was very easy because it was Mary Higgins Clark. It was Agatha Christie. It's Ruth Ware, Lisa Jewell, Lisa Gardner. And so it was an easy decision for me. And yes, there's not a lot of research that goes into it because they're set in the Rocky Mountains, and we spend about half our time there. So it's settings that I know, and people that I understand, both locals and the tourists and stuff that are in these areas, and in the geography. So there wasn't a lot of research involved in it. And so that's, I think, how I was able to get the first one finished.
I love it. All right. So tell us about what your kids are saying. So you have older kids. I think you're officially an empty nester. Is that?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
How are they, feeling about you writing books, and have they read them? Or are you giving feedback?
It's funny. I have 3, and I didn't tell them that I was writing my first book until I was completely finished. It was a shock to them. I told my husband when I was about halfway through the manuscript. I just didn't want anybody saying, oh, why are you doing that? Or you can't do that. Or, I just wanted to keep it to myself. I had 2 failed starts before. So I didn't tell my kids that I had written one until I was completely finished with it, and it was going off to the editor, and they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. And out of the 3, I have 1 that hasn't read a single one of the books, and I have 1 that has read 1, and she keeps saying that she's going to start the other and hasn't done the other. And then the youngest, he reads it within a week or 2 of the book coming out. So they run the gamut on that. It's kind of funny. So I'm hoping eventually maybe they'll all read all of them. We'll see.
That's awesome. I think that's so cool. I think it's amazing that Alice, I know you've written books as well, and it's been so wonderful to see the product come to life, and then how you guys can make that story come to life without it being way too long and too many words, but also just the depth of it. So I could imagine your kids being so excited for you.
Yeah, they were excited. It was kind of fun to figure out Mom had written a book. So,
Well, I want to go back to the Facebook ads. So we're able to have a live show, and people can join us while we're having this. And so somebody has asked a question about the different versions of ads that you had. So people like the ads. You can tell that they've clicked the ads, or how does that work? What is the what type of information does Facebook give you in order to understand that?
Sure. An ad is actually kind of like, I have mine directed to news feeds. You can do ads that'll show up when somebody searches on Facebook for something, or they'll show up in a stories. You've seen the ads that'll pop up in between your friends' stories and things. And I have mine set just because of the books that I've read said for authors anyway. I don't know about other industries, that really news feeds are the way to go. So when you have an ad in the news feed, it's like a post. It'll say sponsored up at the top, and you can tell it's an ad. But other than that, you'll see the image. You'll see where you can like it, share it, comment on it. And it's really great because I have gotten some great comments from people over the last year and a half through the ad. And what's really fun is that you'll have an ad, and then somebody will comment, oh, I read this and I loved this book. When is your next one coming out? So it's really kind of a fun way to start interacting. And I think I've gotten a lot of people that have liked my Facebook page off of the ads too. And that's been fun, but it really is kind of like a post, and you're just interacting with people who aren't necessarily your friends, but people who have the similar interests, hopefully, with what it is you're trying to market.
And what did the ads look like? So what do they like? Okay, so they have an image of the book, and then you have the text. You have, is it really just an image, and then you have the writing text above it, and or how's that?
Yes, and you can really do whatever you want. I mean, it's a very versatile platform. There are plenty of authors that will put like an image that doesn't have an image of the book. It'll be just some, maybe setting the scene of something, like maybe some creepy old house for some ghost story or something. And then you kind of have to read through the text at the top, just like if you were posting a picture to your friends, telling them what the picture's about. You'd have to read through it to kind of figure out what's going on. But then at the bottom, there is a button that they can click that you can either have it say, learn more, shop now, stuff like that on it, that they would actually click through that to get to either your website, or in my case, to the Amazon book page, and things like that. But it looks a lot like it, pretty much like a post. And people interact with it the same way too. And that's why I really like the interaction on it, because I think I have gotten some really good, fun, readers, and have had interactions with my readers through the ads.
And how have you grown your author page?
Oh, the first thing I did was let friends and family know that I had one. And that got me probably the first 100, I guess, likes on my author page, because that is something you do if you set up a business account through Facebook. You will need a page. You wouldn't want to do it through your personal account per se, but that was friends and family first, and then after that I looked and I did ads again and targeted the types of reader that I was looking for. And I had an ad, I think, that had my picture on one side, and then it had a picture of the book cover, the book that was coming out, or had just come out. I think it was already out, maybe, on the other. And just kind of did a little story about, I've written this book. If you like Mary Higgins Clark, I had another author in there too. I think it was Lisa Jewell. If you like Mary Higgins Clark, Lisa Jewell, I would love it if you would follow my page and let me keep you informed about my books that are coming out. And I got a lot of people initially through that too, that liked my Facebook page, and did that. And now I think they find me. I have it links in the back of my book. If you get the ebook, it goes to my Facebook page, or on my Amazon author page. It has it tells you how to, the username to get to my Shannon Work author on Facebook. And then on my website and things like that are always links and stuff to get to it too. So now people are finding me through different means.
And when you're referencing different technologies, like how important is a website for an author, or like the other mediums that you use? What's the level of importance? And
it's funny, there's differing opinion on that. There are people that say you don't need it. You're not going to need an author website. But then there are people that swear by it too. And I'm kind of middle of the road. I get the analytics on it every month, and I can see how many, visitors I've had, and what blog posts they may read, and what they're clicking on and things. So I'm kind of a middle of the road. I'm not on there changing it up all the time and doing a bunch of things. But I think people like, if they want to learn more about you, oh, I love it. I love dogs. I've got mine locked up in the back, so they're not barking. But I think they like having a place to go to find out more about you if they're interested. And these days, everything is so much more personal with social media and things like that. And people are so much more accessible that I think people are interested in other people. I know I'm always on other people's websites and things. So I think it's good to have it. Even though there is a school of thought out there that you don't need it, I think it's always good. And it's so easy these days. There's really no reason not to.
Yeah, it's probably the school of thought is probably the old school. Like if it stresses you out, you really don't need it. Don't freak yourself out. It's the quality of your book that counts. But really in this day and age, like people do want to see who you are. They want to learn about you. There's like people buy people, they want to trust. So, I kind of understand that.
Right.
So can I ask about the illustration for your book cover? How was that process? Was that kind of fun or hard?
Here's my first book.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so nice. Very clean.
I have, that's the first one. I wish I had the third one. I don't have the third one here. It's my second one.
Awesome.
That I've got, that was one of the things that I did when I decided to self-publish and started, read several success stories of authors that had done it and thought, well, I'm just not gonna, pull my hair out and try to go the traditional route. I can figure this out. I've been in business before. I've built these multi-million-dollar real estate projects. I can do this. I studied that you really have to, good editing is the first thing that you need when you're self-publishing. I did everything like if I was going through one of the big publishing houses. I got top-notch editors and top-notch cover designers. All they do is cover design. And that's where I found them. But it was a lot of research in finding the people that are helping me out now, put the team together. But it was worth it. So now I think I have a pretty good product that I'm trying to market that a lot of people seem to like, which makes me happy.
I always say you do judge a book by the cover.
Absolutely.
And I like your covers, fortunately.
Thank you.
That would have been a little awkward on the show had I not, but.
Thank you. Well, I really love the third one's probably my favorite, and I wish I had it, but like I said, we're about 2 weeks away. So
Oh, that's so exciting.
it is on my website if anybody wants to see it, shannonwork.com. So it's right there front and center when you get on my website. I love that cover.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. So what's next? So you're going to launch your third book. Now that you're a little more experienced in this launching and advertising, everything, tell us about how you're going to launch this book.
About the same that I have. I'll let everybody know I've got an email list. People have signed up for my email list on the website, and I let them know when it's out. And then I will put posts on social media, Facebook and Instagram. I do have a Twitter account, but I think I told y'all earlier, that's just for my funny dog videos. I don't do any. I will put a tweet on there that'll say my book's out, but then I'll kind of leave it be. It's mainly for me to go back and find the funny dog videos that I love. But I'll do that. And then, like I said earlier, I think I'll probably sit down and really kind of have to think. Now I've got 3 books out. So I've got a trilogy, right? Mm-hmm. So I might have to kind of reconsider how I do marketing in the future and see if I can branch out a little bit more than what I'm doing now. But it's been a huge learning curve. And I just didn't want to do things too fast, too haphazard. Everything's kind of been very methodical and thought out. So, that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably branch out a little bit once I have a third book out.
Well, and I love hearing your story because it's methodical and thought out, but you also didn't drown yourself. You didn't kind of overinvest in like the big publishing house that takes years. You just you went and did it. And it sounds like the process has been pretty joyful.
Yes. Oh, it's been a lot of fun. I can't imagine. I think I'm getting 3 books out in less time than if I would have, plodded through, found an agent, had the agent try to find a publisher, sell the book, get on their publishing schedule and jump through all their hoops. I'll get 3 books out in less time than that it would have taken them to get 1. So I'm having a lot of fun. But again, that's being too old and impatient, I think. So I just was ready to, I finally got this book finished, the first one. I finally got it finished. Well, I didn't want to wait 2 or 3 years to get it out there. I was ready for people to start reading it. So that's what I did.
And is it hard to not think of the next storyline? Like as you're writing one book, do you just kind of start seeing, I could imagine you being at home in Telluride and thinking like, oh, this is, here's another story. Here's another scene.
Yes, no, absolutely. I am working on the 4th now, as a matter of fact, and I have these little snippets of ideas. I haven't been able to figure out how I'm going to pull it all together yet, but I definitely have snippets and things that I feel are probably going to be in it. I have to sit down and get it all figured out.
So if any of our members are interested in learning how to write a book, can you just give your basic, like, this is how you stay organized, or this is how you kind of keep the ideas and your approach to going from like, maybe I should do this to like getting something done?
It's funny, writing is so personal, and people, I'm a big outliner. There are people who are discovery writers who can just turn the computer on and start writing for the day. That is not me. I am more type A. I want to know where I'm going. So everybody's going to have a different process. So it's just kind of finding out what works best for you. And I knew I was an outliner just because I'm used to planning like my real estate projects, the architecture. I've got to have a plan. I need to, start with the foundation, and then we'll do the walls, and then we'll do the finish out on the inside. It's the same with the approach that I take with my books. And you just have to find your own way. When I found out or realized that I was a plotter, that I like to outline, there's a book by Elizabeth George, who is a mystery writer, and I think it's called Right Away. Well, she's a huge outliner. So I got that book and devoured it, and then picked up several others too, and just kind of drew from other people's experiences. And I knew instinctively what was going to work for me and what wasn't. So you just kind of put your process together. You just kind of have to feel your way through it. It's very personal. Allison knows writing is very personal.
Writing is very personal. I'm more of a midway pantser plotter. I'll do both. But Shannon, one final question. If you could give yourself advice from when you were, say, 20, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Probably one that I took, which is never give up on your dream. Who I probably would have never guessed that I would have written my first book when I was I 52 at the time. So really just never give up. It's never too late. So never say never. I would say that. And then I would also say, tune out the critics, the people that say, oh, why are you doing that? Or you can't do that, or that's not very good. There's a lot of people that will like it and think it's good. So I would, and I'm still working on that one, actually. Tune out the critics, tune out the critics.
Tune out the critics. That is great, great advice. Shannon Work, how can people get in touch with you?
My website is shannonwork.com. And I'm also on Facebook as Shannon Work Author, and I'm on Instagram as Shannon Work. So anywhere, and I love to hear from everybody. If you've got business questions, writing questions, book ideas, let me know.
Did you do Instagram ads as well?
I did not, because of the books that I had read all said that they're too expensive and they're not that effective. That's for book marketing. I don't know about anything else, but so I have not. So who knows? That may be something we look at in the future. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll put that on the schedule to learn about.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on It's Better Together with a Rebel Coach plus Shannon Work. I am Allison Nissen, and I'm with my sister, Marcy Stout. We are so happy that you have joined us. Remember, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can never miss an episode, which would be awesome. You can also find us on LinkedIn. We have a RevelCoach website page. We have a RevelCoach Facebook page. We're also, I guess that's about it. YouTube, of course. I already mentioned that. And that's it. So goodbye. And remember, if you want to join us live, that is also a possibility. Just go to our website to figure that part out.